Rose from ESPN.
Hey, Steve, what's the plan, the thought for Kevin tonight?
We'll still monitor his minutes, play a little more than last game, but not back to his normal load. We definitely want to make sure that we err on the side of caution as far as his re-entry into the playing and the schedule and all the demands. So he'll play a little more, but not back to his normal minutes, and just keep inching towards that.
Greg Logan, Newsday.
Steve, the Lakers now, they don't have James and Davis, but they've added Andre Drummond. What have you seen in the short sample size with him playing with them? What kind of problems does he pose?
Well, he gives them, size and an agile big. They're the number one defense in the team. I think he can fit right in that respect. So, they turn people over. They protect the basket or the paint. And, we just have to be sharp and move the ball, make quick decisions, protect the basketball. And conversely, be really sound defensively. So he'll make them better. And, although they're missing their top guys, they're still an excellent defensive team. And we have to be prepared tonight.
Ryan Mahoney, Associated Press.
Along the lines of Drummond, Steve, you've played some pretty good big men the next 4 or 5 games. Do you want to see kind of how, LaMarcus and the way you've upgraded kind of matches up with some of these teams who have decent frontline size?
Yeah, it's something that we're going to run into. So we have to figure out ways to be effective against, big centers. But it's not just on the matchup. It's on our team defense. We have to be really sound as a team. We have to support. We have to rotate and make sure that we're able to handle the pressure that good bigs put on our team, not only with the ball, but without it and on the glass.
Brian Lewis, New York Post.
Kind of following up on that, could you just touch on what you've gotten from LaMarcus on both ends of the court? Defensively, I think it's probably been a little underrated what he's done.
Yeah, he's intelligent. He has a good feel for quarterbacking back there, for being in a drop defense and finding the appropriate level between the ball and the roller. That takes savvy. He has that experience. So I think his intelligence and his experience has been excellent defensively. He's a big body as well. And then offensively, he's a skilled big man. He can stretch to the three. He's, made a career in the mid-range and in the post. So, he's also, talented around the basket. So he's a guy that I think is going to fit in really well. Gives us another dimension in the center position.
Mike Trudell, Lakers TV.
Hey, Steve, good to see you. Apologies if you'll allow kind of a speculative question, just lineup and matchup-wise. If the Lakers were healthy, right, LeBron, AD, Drummond in the front court, you guys have played so many styles this year. How would you see that kind of athleticism and size going against some of what you have and what you can put together?
Well, it would be, that would be a terrific challenge for us. They obviously, adding Andre gives them size and an excellent center. But at the same time, I think the reason the Lakers were the champions last year is because AD is the best small ball center and LeBron's the best small ball four. So at least in the playoff run last year. So, I think it just gives them options and depth and another facet. If they want to go big, they have another guy that can, do a lot of things at the center position. So, pick your poison. They would be very formidable with the smaller version of their front court or the big one.
Steve Lichtenstein, WFAN.
Hi, Steve. When you're looking at your plan for the times that KD has to have his load managed, what's more of a priority for you? Maximizing the time that he's on the court with Kyrie to get the chemistry, or segregating their time to keep one of them on the court?
That's a good question. I think we don't have a hard and fast philosophy, but we do think there's times for both. There's times depending on the game where we may need to separate their minutes, and there's other times when it'd be ideal to have them playing together. So, that we might see both things during one game. So I think it's about having a feel for what's needed on the night. And sometimes the options are limited just on who's available and whatnot. So we have to be, I think, a little bit flexible and a little bit creative in how we are able to shell out their minutes and allow them to play with or without each other.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
Hey, Steve, kind of piggybacking off the chemistry question, just with all these new guys you've incorporated this year, how have you kind of gone about determining whether or not, they have cohesion with the group and if it's still a work in progress or if it's been established at a workable level, I guess?
I think it's a workable level, but I think our approach should be that it's always a work in progress, that we're always trying to become more efficient and more effective, have a better understanding. Some of those things, like it's great because we have talented players to make these seamless transitions seemingly immediately. But the reality is everything's different when you face adversity. So I think we will have the opportunity to really grow and develop and see who we are once we face adversity, how we respond to it, and what kind of response we're willing to give.
And just obviously, with your first year as a coach, how's it different for you determining that as a coach now than when you were as a player, when you're actually out there and can tell if a guy's understanding, what you're trying to do and where you're trying to put him and whatnot?
Yeah, it's much different. I think, as a player, part of my skill set was to connect and to make the game easier for my teammates. As a coach, you don't quite have the same luxury when you're on the sidelines, but you do have the opportunity to help them, guide them, to show them where they can be more efficient, where they can be more effective, how they can come together and form that understanding. So, it's just a different way of doing it, different perspective, but still capable of guiding and helping and showing them things that maybe it's more difficult for them to see on the fly.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Steve, just wondering if there's been any update on Spencer and his rehab process and whether you expect him. I believe the last we heard he was out in L.A. rehabbing. Are you guys anticipating that he rejoins the team, not necessarily to play, but just to be alongside the guys for the playoff push, or is he going to stay isolated away for you guys the entire season?
Actually, I'm not sure of that. I think there is a time when he's going to come back to the team, but I don't know when that is, to be honest. I know he's still right in the thick of his rehab. He's very dedicated and doing all the work and is ahead of schedule and all that stuff. But I'm not sure when the date is, if it's playoffs, before the playoffs, but I know there is the plan for him to come back and be around the guys, when he gets the bulk of his rehab done.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.